Today I want to talk to you a little bit about some things that you can stock your pantry with that'll help to take care of you in case of an emergency, in case of a catastrophe. There's just so much that could happen in our lives that would make us need to have a good stocked pantry. So I'm going to show you a few things that I stock so that maybe it'll give you some ideas. And as I do this, I just want to say that most of what I'm showing you today is in my canning cookbook. So if that's something that you need or that you'd like to have, I'll put the link to it in the description on this video. Okay, so to get started, I want to show you some things that I have in my pantry. The first thing you're going to see here is a jar of the chicken like I canned. And the next thing you're going to see is the chicken stew that you just saw me do. Behind that, you haven't seen this yet, but you probably will pretty soon because I'm getting low. This is chicken noodle soup starter. And then behind that is the white bean chicken chili. Okay, next over is a jar of meatloaf. And I'll be showing you that pretty soon. You've already seen the ground beef. This is a jar of roast that's cooked in its own juices. You'll be seeing that real soon too because I've got some coming. This one is a jar of Philly cheesesteak. Philly cheesesteak meat. Boy, we love that. And then this one is a jar of beef stew. Next over is a jar of pork butt. And then after that is a jar of my homemade sausage. That's made from fresh ground pork. And then this is a jar of bacon. Next is a jar of pinto beans, and I think it's got a few kidney beans mixed in with it, which is fine. And then this is the white beans with bacon canned in it. Next, a jar of apple pear preserves. This is a jar of just sweet apples. That is something that I use like to put on a biscuit. There's a jar of apple jelly. And then I have fig preserves. I didn't get one out, but I also have my Christmas jam. And this is apple butter. Then right here I have a jar of pears, a jar of apples. A jar of peaches. This is a jar of cooked apples that you could use for a biscuit. And I forgot, this jar is something I use for, hold that up there where you can see it. That's something I use to put inside of a fried pie. And then this one is peaches. It's like a peach butter. The next thing that I have in this row, this is milk. And I keep a little bit of milk on my shelves. Now this one is a jar of just orange juice, and you can see it's separated, but once you shake it up, it goes back to consistency real well. There's a jar of tomato juice. That's actually Roma juice. That's why you see so much pulp in it. And this is the spiced tea that I just did recently. And then there's a jar of vegetable soup. Here is a jar of hot salsa. And then here is a jar of the Alfredo sauce that I just did. And there is a jar of butter. It's actually ghee. It's had the milk solids removed. There's a jar of pasta sauce. And then this is just a jar of chicken broth. There is a jar of just tomatoes. And those look like they siphoned a little bit. There's a jar of chow chow. Here's a jar of home canned green peas. A jar of okra. And this one is a jar of green tomatoes. Here's a jar of dill peppers. And then there's a jar of my Blue Lake green beans. Now this, my husband absolutely loves this. That is pickled cabbage. If you've never tried pickled cabbage, you need to try this. Pickled cabbage, he likes it better than pickles on a sandwich. And so that's something you need to try if you never have. There's a jar of sweet potatoes, and then a jar of sweet relish. Really, really good in my potato salad. That one is dill relish, which I use more along the lines of something to use in a chicken salad, or sometimes to mix up a tuna salad or something like that. My jar of carrots. Back here's a jar of my potatoes. Here's a jar of greens. This is mixed greens. And then a jar of pickled beets. And this jar is a jar of caramelized onions. So as you can see, there's a lot, and that's not even all the stuff that I have on my shelves. I can think of several things that I did not show you. And I mean, I have the Christmas jam on the page, and I know there's other things, but think about what you would like to learn to can. Put a comment here on this video if there was something you saw there that you would like to learn. And then once summer gets here, or when I can get fresh produce, things like that, then I will be doing some of these things. So, you know, and be sure and subscribe to the channel so that you'll get notification whenever I put something new up, or if I'm going to go live. So anyway, until next time, God bless you.